Hello, fifth period. I used the example of a breakout style game when we were evolving our Pong because that was the easiest. You could move your stuff over and it still bounces in that same way that Pong does on the bottom with a different thing going on the other side of the screen. But that's not the only possibility. Some people are doing a puzzle or a Space Invaders type game, or this one that a few people asked about in class, platformer. So I thought today, when nobody was showing up for office hours, I would throw together an example of that to show that, the breakout was not the only possibility. So I took my ball and made it guy, and it's changed a little. I'll show you in a second. And I took my paddle and made it platform, which I changed the dimensions, made it in a whatever place, and then took out all the movement, although I'm sure it could move later. It can be one of those that hops up and down, or you jump on and then it carries you to the edge of a chasm or something. And then I changed, the stuff down here, give it a name, put it in the loop, all that good stuff. And let's look at the guy because he does three things. One is walk, and this is exactly the same as controlling the Pong paddle with up and down, except I changed that code to left and right, and I put it in the other object. So this can move left and right. And it's like scraping a pixel off the bottom. We'll work on that, but it works, right? Left and right, left and right. And then you can jump. And the jump function is spacebar. If you're on the ground, because we don't want people to jump. It's not Flappy Bird where you can keep jumping. And so I made a function called grounded, which tests if you're on the bottom. Later, it'll test if you're on a platform or other things, but we're starting simple. Then it gets a velocity. Okay, if you jump, you get a velocity. Makes sense. But that's not the only part of jump. You don't just fly off. You have to be pulled down by an opposing force of gravity. And I made that separate because A, I like making things separate, but B, that's going to apply to other actions as well. Not only if you jump, but if you walk off the edge, you're going to have the fall happen to you. Or if something spawns in the air, it's going to fall as well. So I wanted to make that separate. So if you're not on the ground, you have an acceleration. And if you are, you don't. Pretty simple, right? And then this function says the position is affected by the velocity. The velocity is affected by the acceleration. Pretty cool. I turned off the collision because that we'll get to later, but we fall, walk, jump, move, and show. Let's do it. So we move our guy. We can jump. And you see when we jump, the velocity wins for a second because the velocity is higher than the acceleration. So, but then after a couple frames, the acceleration downward has built up to overcome that and push you back down. So, whoop, whoop, great. And guess what? We can move left or right during the jump because the walk isn't turned off. We're actually walking in the air. Obviously, when we get a little more fine-tuned, we might make it so that different things happen. If you push left in the air, you're probably going to move left. That doesn't happen in real life. You can't change your jump in real life, but it's what people are used to from playing Mario and other things, and it's just fun. So we probably don't want to turn that off, but for now it works just lovely. You can jump, and it doesn't collide. It doesn't land on the platform yet. We'll have to add that as a separate little guy. But, that's the basics of a platformer, right? We can fiddle with the numbers. We can make it a different initial velocity or fiddle with the acceleration or the time delay thing at the bottom. Those will all make a huge difference in, how it looks. And we might change it so that, like, if you hold spacebar, it doesn't... Actually, that looks fine. That looks cool. Maybe holding it is just no problem. But we'll look at the details as we go. I want you guys to start with a thing that is really clean and simple. And you don't have to, do the collision and do the beautiful physics and do all the stuff at once. You just say, hey, we jump and it makes one thing happen. Okay, velocity goes in a certain direction. And if we're not on the ground, well, we accelerate to the ground. Pretty simple stuff, right? At first, I thought we would actually be inputting physics equations like -1/2 AT something something, which is actually the same thing as what's happening, except we broke it into frame by frame, and then we broke that into X and Y. So like if you added this all up, it would really, through the magic of calculus, be pretty much the same as that, but that's not how it looks, right? So take your time. If you get good at this, later we can add in all the really fancy stuff that the like high-level platformers have. If you play Celeste, or you play Super Meat Boy, or you play Mario, then they have all kinds of little bits that, you know, if you're near a wall, then it works slightly differently, or if you push the button a little bit too late, it still gives it to you. You know, they have all kinds of little fine tunings, but we don't need that at first. We want to start with the actual physics of you're moving one way, but acceleration pulls you the other way. Thanks.